let's think a little bit about shadow angles and how shadows work, right? It's based on the light that's coming into the room, and that creates the direction of the shadow. So we can look at all these different images on the table here as an example in this photo. Let's assume that this is north-south, right? And we can see the shadows following the north-south angle on the photograph, right? And that's because of where the light comes in. So then when we look at another photograph that was allegedly taken at the same time, and we can see that the angle of the photographer has changed to more of an east-west, right? But then we look at the shadows, and we can see that the shadows have changed to an east-west direction as well, when they should still be going in the north-south direction. So let's take a look at the box, right? And we can see in this image that it's going in that north-south direction, right? And then we take a look at this next image, which was taken at the same time, in the same photo shoot, where the camera person moves off to the side. So then we have a more east-west direction, and the shadows are now going east-west instead of north-south. They should still be going north-south based on the lighting in the room, right? The way that the light comes into the room. It shouldn't adjust the shadows. Now let's take a look at the olive jar, right? We can see that there is a reflection instead of a shadow. But the thing about the reflection is, or a shadow, it doesn't go the full length of the object, right? That's standing up. So if the object's standing up, the reflection is narrower, right? Well, in this case, the olive jar reflection, which should really be a shadow, is going the full length of the olive jar, so it maintains its length. It shouldn't do that. But then it also overlaps the coin case, right? So where it overlaps the coin case, because there is a height difference, there should be a little angle as well, and that is not there. Let's not forget about the chair that's missing a leg. We don't want to forget about the chair that's missing a leg, right? So let's just say, hypothetically, the lawyer was dumb enough to leave a chair missing a leg in the office, right? Which would be a liability. But let's just say that he did that, right? Well, what would be underneath that chair leg is blue carpet. The blue carpet's not there either. It's a photoshopped image. Let's not forget the fact that they completely changed the green gemstone in the plastic case from the image that Fenn released 10 days after the announcement to this other gemstone. It's point blank different. It's verifiably different. And this was after I addressed it, right? And this is it was changed when Jack came into the picture. Now let's take a look at the coins, right? Let's look at a couple different segments of the coins. We're not going to talk about how bloppy they are. They look like they're little chocolate coins or something like that. But let's just take a look at the stack structure, right? We can see between these two images that the coins and everything on the table was rearranged, right? Well, where they're rearranged, the stack structures remain the same, right? So in the stack that goes up, we can see that the one still overlaps and all the same angles. They're the same, but they were moved. If you were to take a stack of coins and move it, they're not going to remain the same. They're going to be slightly different, right? Well, they're not. So then let's take a look at these three coins that are overlapping each other, which were moved according to the image, right? They rearranged it on the table. Well, these three still overlap each other's lips in the exact same fashion. They're just moved to a different angle, right? That's because they're using photoshopped images. An analytical deduction based on the observation of these images tells us that these images were taken prior to the box being in the field, and then they were then photoshopped with their placement in different areas on the examples that were given to us. Then we have the only modern image that was taken with Fenn wearing this bracelet, and it's all cleaned up, and we can see that it's not cleaned up on the table, right? And then we have images of where Fenn's wearing it where it's not cleaned up as well. But then we have this one that has nothing else in it but the bracelet, which Amber had, and it's all cleaned up, and Fenn's wearing it, right? So another thing that we can look at on Fenn's arm by zooming in is that Fenn has a scar on his arm that is then healed up in the other pictures, right? So in the modern picture, the scar is healed, where in the subsequent, in the photos that were taken previously with the dirty bracelet and all that, he has this more fresh scar. We all know about how scars work and the healing process of scars, right? So here we have a more fresh scar. And then in the modern image with the clean bracelet that he got from Amber, we have the scar that is all healed up. Let's take a look at this mouse and this keyboard on the table, right? It's set up for a right-handed person using the keyboard, mouse on the right-hand side, but it's facing the wrong direction on the table, right? So according to this image, whoever's using the mouse and the keyboard is laying across the table to use it, right? It's photoshopped in. The plastic case with the green gemstone is a huge thing for me because I have the green gemstone. It was left on that cliff face by Kendall Cole. And then when Trent Reekie came into the picture, I collected those items on the 1st of June. And then I told Trent Reekie about it. And then all of a sudden, shortly after, Trent Reekie saying that it's found. This suggests that the auction website was a real deal and something that Kendall and Amber did, and that Trent had recovered this based on the information that I gave him, right? So, not only is Trent Reekie involved with this fraud, but Kendall and Amber are involved with this fraud. Why do you think Fenn told K-Pro to go against the auction website? What do you know? The plastic case is empty in the Barbarossi photos now. Let's take a look at the fetish necklace now. The shadow in this image is that north-south direction. Now we look at this other image, and it's east-west. That's not how shadows work. Let's take a look at the shadow/reflection of Fenn's arm by the missing chair leg. It overlaps the wall in the back, right? That's not how shadows or reflections work. It's because it was photoshopped. We already know that that's clearly not 20,000 words in the olive jar. We can see clearly in this image that the bracelet would fit inside the plastic case. Yeah, it's a little further back, but it's not that big of a difference when it comes to sizing, right? It would clearly fit inside the plastic case with a little bit of room to spare, right? Then we look at this other image, and the bracelet is enlarged. We can see it would not fit inside the plastic case. Robert already clearly proved that these golden discs are far larger than 6 inches. Far, far larger than 6 inches. And that they would not fit inside of that box. They're blowing up. They're photoshopped. I attempted to call some of this stuff out initially, right when the photos were released by Dow 10 days after the announcement, and Dow automatically blocks me. He shut me down, right? They didn't want my story being told. All right, and then Christy did the same thing on Thor. She shut down my story, and I didn't do anything wrong on Thor. She just didn't want my story being told. That's why I started making YouTube videos, so that my story can be told, because it's important, because it's the truth of the matter. Let's take a look at the box lid now, the left-hand edge. If you were opening it up, it'd be on the left-hand that side, right? It's a very detailed thing. We can see that in the image released by Fenn before he died, right? And then when a lot of the changes came when Jack came into the picture and more images were released, right? Well, let's look at that edge again. It's all blurry. And it's a better angle, or not a better angle, but just as good of an angle, a front close angle of that edge. We can't see any of the detail. That's because the image was photoshopped. So we did a real basic analyzation of these two images, right? One from Fenn before he died, and then the ones from Jack, or the one from Jack after Fenn died. So we got ones from Fenn before he died, and then ones from Jack after he died. And we have all these problems in the images that should not exist if they were real images. It should be clear that there were original images taken of the items in the chest prior to it being put into the field, right? is probably because of that backup plan that Fenn and Dal had spoke about, right? Well, we can prove beyond reasonable doubt that the images that were given to the public are not those authentic images. They're all photoshopped. The question is, why? And you should already have the answer to that. In this upcoming deposition, everyone involved should also be asked about their knowledge and participation with both Kendall Cole and Amber Blessing. Another person you should depose, McCracken, would be Ben Napple, who had claimed to have more than 100 email exchanges with Jack. We know that Amber Blessing is involved because of the clean bracelet that is presented in the only modern picture in the images that were released. And they were in the original set of images that Fenn released before he passed away, 10 days or so after he made the announcement. We know with certainty that Amber Blessing is involved. That means that communication between Amber Blessing and Trent Reekie has likely also occurred. The communication with Amber Blessing also likely involves Kristen and Frankie Archuleta.